Hi, my name is Austin. This is a video explaining the processes. Processes, the process costing, and hopefully aid you in creating your own business. The process cost system is used to give cost to similar mass-produced items. An example of this would be Ben & Jerry's ice cream. They produce the ice cream using the same amount of resources for each pint and each container, and it's the exact same one as the one that came before it. So they're mass producing the same product over and over again. Um, and that's of course for specific flavors, because I mean different flavors require more resources and whatnot. But each one of they'd be the same thing for the same flavor. The manufacturing process begins like this: items go from one area to another area, and then to another area until the product is finally completed. So, say for Coca-Cola, the bottles are in a blending department, a filling department, and a packaging department. They have three different departments for each process in completing a bottle of Coke. Each piece of the finished product is the same as every other piece before it, again, because you're mass producing the same item. The finished product goes to the finished goods inventory, and when sold, the cost goes to the cost of goods sold, because you're actually selling the product. Unlike a job order cost system, the process order cost system has multiple departments where the work is done. They have a different department for every manufacturing step. Companies would still debit raw materials, factory labor, and manufacturing overhead at the time they were incurred, just like they would for a job order cost system. The difference with the process costing system, however, is the assignment of the three manufacturing cost elements: the raw materials, the factory labor, and the goods, or the manufacturing overhead. And for an example, a company usually adds most of the materials needed for the production at the beginning of the first process, and other materials may be added at different points. Like, say, Hershey's has their chocolate made, and then they have other things added, like say the carton or the plastic. They have that added in a different point. And to record the raw materials used in a journal entry, that would be a debit to the work in processes, which are the processes of making the product, and the cost, and the credit to the raw materials inventory for the cost of the raw materials at the time of the purchase. Factory labor costs are recorded through things such as time tickets, like what you plug in when you go to work, and you plug out and see how much time you actually worked. They help determine the cost of labor in certain departments, specific departments rather. If they were assigning labor costs to a process, then they could get the labor costs chargeable to a specific process. So these people, the wages for these people in this department, the wages for these people in this department, the wages for people in a different department. These costs would include wages, of course, wages of the employees that make the specific item. The manufacturing overhead costs are assigned to the process cost system to allocate overhead costs to their production departments as an objective basis that causes the cost. And most companies would use machine hours in allocating manufacturing overhead costs. When a process has been completed, we would need to record a journal entry to record the cost of the goods being transferred out from one department to another department, in which you would debit the department it is going to and credit the one it is leaving, as you're adding it from one area and you're minusing it from a different area. And when the product is completed, we need to record an entry for the transfer of the finished product to the finished goods warehouse, with a debit to the finished goods warehouse, since that's where you're adding it, and a credit to the department it is leaving. And again, there needs to be an entry for the product to go from the finished goods warehouse to the cost of goods sold when the product is finally sold, with a debit to the cost of goods sold when it is actually sold, and the credit to the finished goods inventory since it left that area. Yeah. And hopefully this brief rundown helped you understand process costing and helped you get started on your own. Yeah, go accounting.